And now we have our good friend Nick Cafardo from the Boston Globe, covers the Boston Red Sox, with us here on Big Board Sports 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio in Albany, the home of the New York Yankees. Nick, good morning to you. Roger Weiland, Chris Honorato. How are you?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, Nick. Appreciate a few minutes. We were just saying it. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you got to include Tampa, right, in this race in the American League East. We got Boston on top and Yankees right there, and now the Tampa Rays. I didn't have them on the radar preseason, but maybe this is going to turn out to be a 3-team race the rest of the way. What do you think?
Very well could. I didn't have Tampa on the radar as well. I'm not sure a lot of people did, but they pitch well. And now they're hitting home runs. The problem with them was always the offense, and they have a dynamic offense now and can score runs in a hurry. So they are definitely a team to be reckoned with. They could probably use another bullpen piece, as could probably every contending team in the league. But they're going to be right there.
How about the Red Sox right now, strengths and weaknesses of this team as we get into the second half, and are you at all concerned about their ability to score runs right now?
Yeah, I think you'd have to be concerned about their offense, and it's been a concern all season. It was a concern for me right from the off season when they didn't properly replace David Ortiz, and they signed Mitch Moreland, who has done very well for them. But they really need a bopper. They need a guy who can really hit the long ball and score some runs in a hurry and in bunches. And that's what their offense has really been missing. I mean, they've been shut out 8 times already this year, which is 2 more than all of last season. So they've really been a hit-or-miss offense. And you feel bad for a guy like Rick Porcello, who's made 10 starts where they have not scored 1 run for him, which is absolutely an amazing stat for me. For a guy who probably had the biggest run support of any team, of any pitcher in baseball last year. So they need to address this, and probably need to address it pretty soon. I know that things go in ebbs and flows, and we always have little snapshots of the season, and sometimes those snapshots are very good offensively, but there are too many of them that aren't so good, and lately that's been the case.
Nick Cafardo of the Boston Globe with us here. You'll also find his work on MLB Network and Nesson as well. But my first introduction, Roger, to Nick was a book he wrote about my favorite baseball player of all time, Tom Glavine, and the Atlanta Braves after they won their World Series in 1995. Nick, regarding the trade deadline and what particular move you might see them make first. There's just a lot of smoke, as you know, this time of year leading up to July 31st. How would you prioritize exactly what Boston needs or should do, and can you give us specific names of who might really help? Well,
I mean, like I said, the offense is of grave concern right now, so they and really the only realistic place that they can get that offense is at third base. I know that they have a lot of interest in J.D. Martinez, but I just don't know where he would play. I suppose you'd find room for a guy like that somehow, because that's exactly the type of guy that they need. But I would say that a bullpen piece, given that they have a couple of guys on the DL, including Joe Kelly, their setup guy. So they've got to pick off one of those prime-time relievers there, and not necessarily a closer because they have one, but, a guy like a Justin Wilson I think would be perfect for them, kind of a left-handed power arm that, would certainly be a tremendous addition for them. Even a Pat Neshek, gives you a different look. The Red Sox are very power-oriented in the bullpen, so it'd be nice to have a guy who can beat you with a little deception. I think that would be a key guy, too. I was a little surprised that they didn't make a bigger effort to go after Sean Doolittle. I think he would have been excellent for them as well. So, David Phelps is a name that we hear so often with the Marlins, and they seem to like him quite a bit, too. So they've got to pick off one of those guys. And third base-wise, the easiest one is Todd Frazier. They could certainly fit in the remaining salary, but which is about $4 million, and still stay under their luxury cap, desire. So Frazier has that perfect Fenway swing, and even though he hasn't had a very good year, he's picked it up of late and can definitely pose that power threat that they need, and also give them a decent fielding third baseman as well. But there are certainly other guys. I know they've been looking at Josh Harrison and David Freese with Pittsburgh, and Martin Prado, who just went on the DL. They've been looking at him for quite a while. Judd Lowry is another name you hear a lot, but I would say the easiest thing for them to do would be Frazier.
How do you, and we're talking with Nick Cafardo, Boston Globe and the Red Sox. How about where the starting rotation stands right now for Boston, which seems to still be a strength of this team?
Yeah, I think Dombrowski has even publicly said that he will not go after a starting pitcher. Doesn't feel the need to. Rodriguez came back last night, actually pitched fairly well for his first time back. So they have 5 very solid starters now. 4 of them are lefties. They have Doug Fister that they're putting in the bullpen now, so he'd be the kind of the emergency guy. And so I think they're all set in that regard. They don't want to spend, neither the money or the prospects it would take to pick off a Sonny Gray or somebody like that. I know they've looked at Sonny Gray, but I think they're just doing due diligence on the starting pitchers that are out there, just in case a Price or a Sale went down with an injury, they would probably pounce at that point, but not now. I think their priorities are definitely third base and reliever.
Nick, how would you stack up or rank the American League? I mean, obviously in the NL, the Dodgers and Nationals appear to be far and away better than the other teams in that league. Do you automatically throw Houston number 1? Is Cleveland 2? Where do the Red Sox fit in?
Yeah, I think Houston's definitely number 1. And then you got to fight for that number 2 spot. I think Boston, Cleveland would be right there. Yankees not far behind, and certainly Tampa Bay. It sure looks like the AL East might have the 2 wild cards the way things are going. But there's always a possibility that the Royals can really get it together and make a nice run. And definitely be a wild card team, but they could also, make a run for the division too. Cleveland, has been a little bit like the Cubs this year. I mean, a little better than the Cubs, but they've kind of underperformed for them, given the talent that they have. So I expect that they'll be a strong second half team, as will the Cubs, I'm sure.
Nick Cafardo, always a pleasure spending a few minutes talking Red Sox baseball here on the home of Yankee baseball, and good stuff from you as always, Nick. We appreciate it. We'll get back in touch.
Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Nick.